Still using Windows 7 but feeling left behind? Did you know Microsoft ended support for it in 2020, leaving your system vulnerable and outdated? What if I told you there's a way to unlock its hidden potential, boost its performance, and make it feel brand new again? In this video, I'll show you how to master Windows 7's best features, from advanced security tools like BitLocker to seamless file sharing with Home Group, and transform your old system into a productivity powerhouse. Don't let your computer hold you back. Let's dive in. In this course, we will talk about the Windows 7 operating system. This system was launched on October 22, 2009, and its support ended on January 14, 2020. It's a bit similar to Windows Vista, GUI-wise, except that it brings some improvements. That's why Windows 7 is best known for its performance compared to its predecessor, Windows Vista. And then, this is not to criticize, but Windows Vista was really boring to use because you had the right to a pop-up with each click of the mouse. We can say that it was a real failure on Microsoft's part. Windows 7 features. In terms of the features of the Windows 7 operating system, we have security, graphic design, multimedia, and organization. It is from this version that we were entitled to a visual evolution of the graphical interface. The appearance of libraries, which are virtual folders, brings together files of the same nature. Like what? Videos, music, or the images. The Home Group, which allows you to share documents and files from one computer to another using an automated configuration. In fact, this function has been removed from Windows 10. And we also had the right to the appearance of the taskbar, allowing you to pin applications to it. The visual evolution of the GUI, desktop, gadgets. Windows 7 allows you to place widgets anywhere on the desktop. A widget is a small application designed to be displayed on the user's desktop screen, just like the applications on our smartphones. This allows you to customize your own desktop, for example, by adding time display or the weather of the day. Another GUI improvement is the Windows Arrow theme, which helps improve the user's GUI. To see the difference this brings, here is an interface with a classic Windows theme. And now, the same thing, but with the arrow theme option enabled. As you can see, it's all about finesse, which makes the graph much more beautiful. A new feature offered by Windows 7 is the libraries. A library is a virtual folder that contains files that are in different locations on the computer or on a local network. The advantage is that you can search the files in this library. This makes it much easier to access these files. Another very interesting feature in terms of security and organization is the Home Group. A Home Group is intended to facilitate file and printer sharing when multiple Windows 7 computers are connected to the same home network. The user chooses the types of documents they want to share, such as music or video, and Windows will set up the sharing automatically, creating a password protection. You will then have to save the password on the other computers on the network. Another security-related feature is the BitLocker tool that allows you to encrypt an entire internal or external hard drive. Windows Media Player. It is from version 7 of Windows that Microsoft has offered a new version of its Media Player and the Media Center. Here's what Windows Media Player 12 looks like. And here's a screenshot of Windows Media Center. With Media Center, you can watch and record live TV shows, watch slideshows of personal photos, or listen to music from your own library or from CD or DVD. Let's talk about DirectX, which is a collection of libraries, making it easier to program multimedia applications, such as games or programs. It is installed by default on Windows 7. it is possible to launch the DirectX diagnostic tool by searching for DXDig in the Start menu of Windows 7. Windows 7 editions. It is important to know that there are several editions of Windows 7 intended for different uses. For example, we find as a version Starter, Home Premium, Professional, the one for businesses, and the Ultimate version. The Windows 7 Starter version is used mainly by netbooks. Netbooks aren't really laptops. Let's say that they are halfway, so between the Ultra Portable and the Personal Assistant. For example, in this edition, we will even have the Windows Media Center. It's really a version of the most basic Windows, because you won't even have the right to the arrow theme and the BitLocker tool. I even think it's not possible to share your internet connection with this version. It's such a basic edition that it only exists in 32 bits and can only support a maximum of 2 GB of RAM. Let's move on to the Home Premium edition of Windows. This edition is intended for the general public. The following features will be found: support for DVD players for multimedia, the Windows Arrow function for graphics, Internet Connection Sharing, ICS, and Microsoft Internet Information Services, IIS web server. What we won't find in this version are the features related to companies such as connecting to a domain, the BitLocker tool, or the EFS, encrypting file system, encryption system. This edition is available in 32-bit and 64-bit. The 64-bit edition can support up to 16 GB of RAM. And for the 32-bit edition, it will only support a maximum of 4 GB of RAM anyway. Windows 7 Professional. Let's move on to the Professional edition of Windows 7. This edition has the same features as Windows 7 Home Premium, with the addition of tools reserved for businesses such as remote desktop connection, EFS encryption system, and connecting to a domain. However, it does not support the BitLocker encryption tool. This edition is available in both 32-bit and 64-bit. The 64-bit edition can support 192 GB of RAM, and for the 32-bit edition, well, it's still limited to 4 GB of RAM. Windows 7 Enterprise. Let's move on to the Enterprise edition, which is designed primarily for large organizations or for companies that purchase volume license key VLK. It has all the features of Windows 7 Pro, plus the BitLocker tool, and multilingual UI packages. Windows 7 Ultimate, and the latest is Windows 7 in Ultimate version. It is a version used for the general public and not for businesses, but which contains all the features of Windows 7. This is the most complete version of the Windows 7 family. Minimum hardware requirements for Windows 7. Before we finish the course, we'll look at the minimum system requirements to be able to install the Windows 7 operating system. The following is a table that summarizes these hardware requirements. All editions of Windows 7 require at least 1 GHz of processor. And for the RAM memory, there is a small difference between the 32-bit and 64-bit versions. 32-bit editions require a minimum of 1 GB, and the 64-bit one requires a minimum of 2 GB. Regarding disk space, 32-bit editions require a minimum of 16 GB, and the 64-bit one is 20 GB minimum. And for video, all editions of Windows 7 require DirectX version and WDDM, Windows Display Driver model, in the minimum version of 1.0. They are the drivers for graphics cards, which appeared since Windows Vista.